The Birdie Golf Club Podcast is out every single Tuesday on all platforms where you listen to your podcast: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so on. If you could, it really helps out the show if you leave a follow, subscribe, comments, likes, share it with friends, and whatever you can do. Thank you. Welcome to another episode of the Birdie Golf Club Podcast. It's going to be a slightly different episode this week, but one that I think will be nice, also a nice little change of pace. Due to scheduling, due to the fact that obviously there was a lot of guests that just so happened to be out in Dubai at the time of when we were looking to record, it's kind of left this sort of gap where you're just going to get me this week. But I thought it would be a cool little check-in moment to see how things are. It still surprises me that some people like to hear how I am, I guess, through podcast form, and to sort of catch up on how things are going and where the podcast is going. But what I really wanted to do this week was kind of throw it out to listeners, especially ones that are on Instagram and follow me on there, to ask their questions and then maybe kind of build the episode around a listener Q&A, which I thought would be fun. So, yeah. Let's do that. I'm recording this the week just after the Arnold Palmer Invitational, so won't have any immediate reaction from the players this week. If anything unbelievable happens at the players, I'll insert that here. So it might be fast forward a week right now. I debated whether or not to actually include this or not, really, because yeah, I guess some interesting things kind of did happen at the players. Cam Young winning, like, as much as we all want to dress it up, and look, unbelievable golfer, but all of them are unbelievable golfers. Personality-wise, and I've spoken to people that know Cam from when he was younger, but personality-wise, it's just tough, isn't it? It really is just tough. I mean, I couldn't believe that when he won, he barely even smiled. It was like it was nothing. And it's just, like, I guess that's kind of cool. From a sports psychology standpoint, it's probably, it's immense, right? It is to have that kind of, okay, well, I won the tournament, I went through the process, all those things. But that's not what we really want to see, is it? Let's be totally honest. I want to see guys crying. I want to see them in tears. And it's not like it's not like it's a lesser tournament. The Players is basically considered the next best thing after the majors and after the Ryder Cup. So just something. Give us something. Give us a fist bump. Anything. You know, just it was really painful, I thought. And then when he was asked about it afterwards, like, you're going to crack us, like, in the media room, like, are you going to crack a smile now? You know, you've just won the Players. You've never done anything like this before. It's not like he's a multiple major champion. Never won a major. Never won a Ryder Cup. This is the biggest win of his career, and yet it kind of looked like he'd got the job done on a weekend sort of Stableford competition where he's expected to win it, or the local club championships where he was that much better than everyone else. It was just like, man, give us something. And he's like, well, just ask my wife. It's like, we shouldn't have to ask your wife, Cam. You've just won the Players. Anyway, well done to Cam Young. A great win, just a tough reaction. It really was. Other standout things from the weekend, obviously, you got to feel for Ludwig. Looked like he was going to cruise to victory after playing really, really well for 3 days. And then, kind of like what happened the week before, just if you don't keep the foot down, these guys are going to catch you. And it was actually a really great finish. Obviously, Matt Fitzpatrick ended up being the guy challenging Cam Young towards the end. And there was a group of guys that you thought could probably get into the mix. So it was actually a very good Sunday. I would say Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it sort of struggled to have the juice for me. I don't know if everyone else felt that. It was a little bit, yeah, maybe it's just timings. Over here in the UK, it kind of fell at a funny time where it would kind of, a lot of it was happening, the peak stuff was happening around sort of 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, which isn't really ideal my schedule-wise. It might be for you guys, I don't know. You have to let me know in the comments. Did you enjoy watching the Players this year? I feel like we're building this year towards something great, hopefully, happening. I've just not been blown away by the tournament so far and what's happened in them and the winners. And yeah, I'm trying to think. It's just, I don't know. Am I the only one? It's just, it doesn't quite have that, you know? But let's hope it builds towards it as we head into major season now. And look, if it's an amazing major season, then who cares about the rest of it, really? You had a criminal on the grounds. That was pretty interesting. I didn't really hear much happening after that, but broke into TPC Sawgrass after, I think it was a murder case, right? And the guy escaped. So hopefully they found him. I know he fled the grounds, I think, after a while. So that happened. That was interesting. You know, saw a very funny thing was everyone said, "Has anyone seen Scottie Scheffler?" That got a laugh from me. That was funny. But yeah, other than that, I just felt like it didn't really have the juice, and maybe that's just because Rory and Scottie weren't really in the mix either. And then I think to be honest, I think either if Matt Fitzpatrick or Cam Young win it, it doesn't really have it either. Both amazing golfers, but it is a personality-driven sport. Like, we do need to recognise that about golf. It is a personality-driven sport, and that's what made it what it is now. Tiger is what made golf what it is now. There was players before that that had incredible personalities as well. Your Greg Norman, your Arnold Palmers, your Jack Nicklaus. All those guys had amazing personalities. Fuzzy Zola, like, all these guys are well known in the game. But I just, when a guy wins that's just a bit the Eeyore of golf, isn't he? He's the Eeyore of golf. It's just like, oh, another par, another birdie, bogey this time, but avoided double bogey. You know, it's like, come on, mate, like, give us something. But anyway, well done to Cam Young. The players was good, decent, not amazing, in my opinion. And now I'll throw it back to me from a week ago, who didn't know any of this happened and saw if I let him down. And you're back. If nothing happened at the players that was remotely interesting, then we wouldn't have even gone forward a week. So yeah, that's fun. I don't know what happened. I hope it was good. Anyway, building it around a listener Q&A. So I put out the question on Instagram and just sort of said, look, solo episode this week, only so much I can talk about when it comes to my own golf game, especially this time of year when, let's face it, we all haven't played as much golf as we probably would have liked. So what would you like to know? First question comes from Lee, LA Golf Channel. If you're not following him already, make sure you are. Does a fantastic podcast. I'm proud to say that I kind of spurred him into motion with that. So go and check him out, LA Golf Channel podcast. But his question was, what has been one thing a guest has said that has truly stuck with you? And to be fair, I believe also Ping It, Josh, also, excuse my phone making a load of noise there, asked a very similar kind of question, best question you've been asked by a guest, the kind of moment that's stuck with you. And I mean, it's hard to look past last week's episode with Scott and obviously everything that Scott had been through with his family and what had happened to his nephew, and then the impact that had made as well on him and who he was as a person and why he is quite combative, and that's part of all the things that he can control. And just his point on social media and the fact that sometimes we all kind of forget what somebody might be going through at that moment in time and just kind of throw out comments, throw out stuff. And that's an important reminder for all of us that we just don't know what has gone on in someone's life. Golf is a very small part of the world. For many of us, it's a big part of our lives, especially if you're listening to this. But in reality, life is very, very difficult, and we just don't know what's going on the other side of that screen. So that was, I guess, a moment that kind of just shocked me, probably shocked you as listeners as well, listening to it and listening to what Scott had been through. I suppose looking at it from something that has stuck with me, I would say, as far as my golf game, something that's stuck with me, I can't look past what James Sharp said to me when I went to talk to him about AimPoint. And I'd gone there to kind of fight back a little bit on AimPoint, but with not that perspective. I didn't want to argue with James about AimPoint. I just wanted to give him my opinion, and he welcomed that as well. But just something he said really just struck home, and I still to this day, I don't often listen back to the podcast just because I find myself irritating, especially after the editing process. But I can't quite remember whether he said anything or whether his silence said everything, if you know what I mean. Because we were talking about AimPoint, and I was talking about the fact that I think I do better off of feels when it comes to putting. And you all might feel the same about that as well, that feels is kind of way more important. And I can kind of see the line, and pace is key. And I think James might have just asked me whether or not I take into account numbers when I approach the green. So on everything leading up to the green. Am I that kind of thinker? And my answer, or my soliloquy maybe, that I went on was yes, like absolutely. I take into account the distance I have, the carry distance over the hazards that are most appropriate, whether the wind is playing a part, what speed the wind is, how that's going to affect my shot, what distance that might take off or put onto the shot. I take into effect the time of day, whether it's cold, whether it's warm, is the ball going to fly further or shorter, and add that into an equation. The lie I take into equation, obviously the slope as well, whether or not I'm hitting uphill, downhill, and what that's going to do. So all these things are going on in my head, a bit like a Phil Mickelson meme just going on in my head, right? And then I sort of realised that as soon as I get on that green, as soon as a putter is in my hand, all of those numbers just completely leave my head. And I go, I'm just going to feel it. I'm essentially winging it every single time I get on a green. And I had absolutely no answer as to why that is. Because I'm not good enough to think that my feels are unbelievable to the fact that I'm just going to hold it. Like, I do really like staring at the hole, which my friend James, who was on the podcast as well, was talking about. I love that drill. I love staring at the hole, staring down the hole, looking back at the ball, hitting the putt, clearing the mind. And there's no reason why that can't be part of the AimPoint process, certainly towards the end as you're putting. But the fact that I can then add this analytical side to my putting, which then suits the rest of my game. Like throughout the rest of my bag, I do that. My tee shots, everything. It's all analytical. My putting isn't. And then I wonder why I hit so many 3 putts or 4 putts. Like, my putting's been pretty disastrous recently. So I'm going to correct that. I'm actually booked in with James. As I'm recording this, next week, it will be the day before you're listening to this, I'd have had my first AimPoint lesson. I'm going to get that down, especially before I head off on the golf trip this summer back to Rodway to bring back, it's broken, but the mighty Rodway title. You may have seen this in the background, right? If you have seen this in the background, this is a tournament I play with my mates, and we go back to Rodway Golf Club, which is like, it is not that special a golf club. It is really not, but you get to stay on site right there on the golf course, literally wake up on the golf course. And in the UK, that's not that normal. Normally it's a hotel and all these things. These are just like little pods that you stay in. And that's their mascot at the top there. The woodpecker is their mascot. And then it's Team Bears. So that's the head of a bear versus Team Tigers. And that's the head of a tiger. And I got my brother-in-law to make this. And it is a nuts amalgamation of heads. But we are going to improve on this year. We're going to go a little bit bigger, change the printing on it, because yeah, it broke. It fell in my office and I'm devastated. So we're going to get that sorted. I'll update. Follow on Instagram for that one. That one will come through. But anyway, I'm going to get AimPoint sorted. I'm going to get on it. I may even set up, well, because in my garden, my plan is to set up a hitting station for me, but I'm going to frame it that it's for my son. Good plan. And there I'm going to set up maybe an AimPoint station with the different degrees so that I can literally just stand and feel it, so that it's a faster process when I'm on the green. I don't want to slow down people on the green. So that's kind of my way of thinking, okay, I can get really proficient at this so that I can do it quickly. But AimPoint Europe guys, Jamie Donaldson, Mark Sweeney are coming on the podcast. So I think Gareth O'Shea as well. I think that's his name. I think I've got that right. Coming on the podcast. So get ready for that. That's going to be good. We're going to talk about that. Would love to hear your questions for them. So I'll put that out as well. Question from Shona, who's a good friend of ours. Very supportive of the podcast as well. So thank you ever so much, Shona. Her question is, if you could play against one pro player that you admire, who would it be? Wow. Okay. One pro player that I admire, who would it be? Really difficult to put that down into one person, isn't it? And you're probably racking your brains at home as well, thinking maybe who would I pick or who would you pick? I mean, for somebody that's shown me the time of day, and through the fact that I think that they would be a really interesting insight into longevity in the game, I would love to get around him with Justin Rose. That would be great. Justin is meant to be coming on the podcast. He's doing no podcast until after the Masters. That's why there's a delay. Everyone, I promise. That's the reason we are in talks to set up a time. So be prepared for that. But would love to get on the golf course with Justin. I think it would be amazing. I think to hear his story, to hear his process of how he goes through things. I'd love to get an insight into his recovery as well and what he's doing for that. And just the fact that he seems so willing to give people his time as well, which is so nice. When you look at the Rose Ladies series, what that's doing, you look what he does with his various charitable donations and everything like that, the work that he does there. And just, I love the fact that he has that JR tournament every year where he sort of takes his mates and they go and play some of the best golf courses in the world. And they have that. And the fact that he still does those type of things just shows what type of person he is. So I would think I'd really enjoy a round with Justin. I'd be so nervous, but it would be awesome nonetheless. So I've been promised that if I get him to Seaford Head, that I can have a bench. Firstly, I'd never have to pay for a round of golf again in my life there. So that's a big one, honorary membership. But I've said I want a bench by the 18th tee, I think. Just that there. Just dedicated to the Birdie Golf Club podcast. Just constant advertisement for free. That would be something, but we'll see. So Justin Rose, if I could play a round of golf with, if I'm going to extend the question, if I could play one round of golf with one person of my choosing, I'd play it with my dad. I missed the opportunity now of playing golf with my dad. I took it for granted when he was alive, and I genuinely wish I could just play 18 holes with him again right now. It would be great. He chopped it around. He was not a good golfer. But just to take him around some of the golf courses that I get to play now and to see him enjoy it as well, and just to be out there and talk. And, you know, I think the time when I did play golf with my dad, probably didn't talk to him enough, was still that closed off teenage time. And then he was too sick by the time I was playing in my 20s. Yeah, would absolutely love to do that. But hey, make sure if you've got a loved one that you play golf with right now, make sure you make the absolute most of it. If there's a course you wish you could go and play, go and play it. Money comes, mummy. I'll say that again. I was about to say mummy. Money comes and money goes, but memories stay. So just make sure you do what you want to do. I am very much just like you that are listening and always searching for something to help me and my game. I've tried a lot of different training aids. Some are good, some are just gimmicks. But the best one that I've tried so far is without a doubt Strike Wedge. Strike Wedge enables me to be able to make sure that I'm making great contact with great feedback with or without a golf ball there. That's what's special about it. It can help with your chipping, with your iron play, even with driver if set in front of the golf ball. And low point is the thing that we all want to do better in this game. It's something that we can all do, no matter what our swings look like. Low point we can all control, and Strike Wedge really does help with that. You get this fantastic bit of kit along with the side ramps, which I've named them. That's definitely not their technical name, which can really help if you're a toe striker, heel striker, changing that path and making you a better golfer as well. So you can click the link in the description and you can get yourself a Strike Wedge. And when you do, you will also get some money off if using the link below. and it also helps out the podcast as well. So you get to feel good for it. So thank you. Anyway, back to the episode. Okay, we're going to go to the next question, who is from For Frankie. And of course, For Frankie is indeed Frankie Hardy, who was on the podcast with his mum and dad. And I hope you're doing well, Frankie. Thank you so much for your question here. What are your golfing goals for the season ahead? Well, I want to know what your golfing goals are, Frankie. So please get in touch with those. Would love to hear that. I'm sure they are far better than what mine are. But to be honest, my golfing goals are not too dissimilar to what they were last year, which is a bit of a damning indictment, really. I would like to get down to a single figure handicap. I'm probably well over 10 actually. I haven't really posted my winter rounds, but I'm still at least a 10 handicap, and I would like to get down to closer to 7, which would have just shown me that I can kind of shoot in the 70s a little bit more often than I have been. But genuinely, one of the things I really want to try and do is enjoy my golf a lot more. The score is one thing. I think we all want to get better at this game. But actually, I had a bit of a discovery recently that I need to switch off my brain sometimes. And even when I'm doing activities like golf, and I don't know whether you have all maybe felt like this, in this age of neurodiversity and discovering how our brains work a little bit better, I was very dismissive of it for a long time, but then some personal sort of family experiences have led to me really trying hard to not be that dismissive, because what does it really achieve to be like, they're fine, I'm fine, we're all fine. Okay, there's times to pull your socks up and get on with things. There are. Like, that is a nature of life, but there's also times to recognize why your flaws, or maybe what is seen to be flaws in your own mind, why they are coming about, why that happens so often. And for some, it happens really obviously through addictions and other sort of points where there's literally an intervention to change things. But for others, which is probably a little bit more like myself, there are just these moments where you look at it and think, why do I act like that? And why do I struggle with that? So for instance, with me, I'm like an anticipation person. So I get really excited for like events that are coming up and for moments. And then when I'm in those moments, I probably struggle to enjoy them as much. And golf is part of that. And part of the thing that I do is, if I'm in a group, I've realised that I kind of assess group dynamics too much. And I'm always trying to either dominate the moment by being the loudest, or by trying to make the most jokes, or all these things, which I'm sure for some of you this will definitely resonate, whether it's for you or someone you know in your group. And what that actually leads to is total burnout. And I'm just so determined this year just to sometimes just shut up, like, rather than talk, which I do so much talking. This is talking, and I love talking. But sometimes I'm just talking for the sake of it, and it's just a nonsense. And I end up being tired in moments that I should just be enjoying. So I'm going to make a real effort in rounds of golf sometimes just to shut up for 10 minutes. Don't say anything. Just enjoy it. Enjoy listening to others. I'm able to listen to others in this podcast because it's the setting, it's a conversation. And I'm not thinking about the group dynamic, but I do find that I really struggle sometimes to just, like I said, be tranquil, be quiet, and just enjoy. So sorry, Frankie. Like, Frankie's a relatively young lad, and that's a big answer. I don't know if it will fully grasp, but I think for a lot of people that they will understand what I'm saying there. I just want to enjoy my golf, and that doesn't necessarily have to do with score. Score helps, but just enjoy the moments. Don't just enjoy the build up to it. Enjoy being out there with friends and meeting new people as well, which is just really fun. I'll move on to the next question. and it's going to be a little bit less in depth. Sorry, Frankie, by the way. That was a lot. It's just like a therapy session, but I do appreciate it. The top 3, so this is from the Sussex Golfer, top 3 favourite golf holes in Sussex. Now, I am pretty ashamed to say that I am not that well travelled. Like, I am not that well travelled. I could name you on one hand, 2 hands maybe, all the courses that I've played in this area of the country. And that is because I do get a little bit comfortable in what I know at the end of the day. Like, I am that person. And it's not necessarily great. Like, I want to work on that this year. I want to go and play some different places. But being realistic, I mean, cost does come into it. Playing some courses is very expensive. And all right, through this podcast now, that opportunities, doors open, and you know people and everything like that. But yeah, it's not cheap playing golf a lot of the time. So my top 3 favourite holes in Sussex. Okay, I'm going to go with number 3 will be the 18th at Seaford Head. I think it's just one of those spots that everyone goes, everyone takes a picture, everyone gets pumped up for hitting that drive. The beautiful drop. I mean, I think it's like an 80-foot drop or something crazy. And you've got the sea on your left. You've got the beautiful sort of Sussex rolling, the downs on your right, the rolling hills. Even up the top there on the 13th as well, you've got the beautiful view across the Seven Sisters. But the 18th just is a really dramatic hole. It's etched into the landscape. And it's a great birdie opportunity towards the end of your round. You've got the clubhouse sitting on your right, which I've hit. Nearly hit twice now. Definitely hit once. Nearly hit it again the other day. And I just think it's a place that all golfers should go. It's so affordable. You can get it for like 22 quid to play golf. It's crazy. 18 holes on a great golf course. So 18 for Seaford Head is my number 3 pick. My number 2 is gonna be at Manning's Heath. Manning's Heath, I will go with I really enjoy the punch bowl at Manning's Heath, which is the 1, 2, 3. Probably should look that up. Anyway, it's called the punch bowl. Par 3, downhill par 3 into literally a punch bowl green. You know, I mean, it's high on the right, it drops away on the left. It's intimidating. If the wind's swirling, it's hard to calculate the distance, but it's just a really great hole. And Manning's Heath is full of them. The waterfall is what it's kind of known for. Excuse me. The waterfall is what it's kind of known for. But I prefer the punch bowl for a hole. I definitely prefer that hole. The waterfall's a great hole as well, but yeah, give me that hole. I really enjoy playing that hole when it gets there, and it's something I look forward to. So go and check that out if you're playing the waterfall course at Manning's Heath. And my number 1 pick is and I want to get this right. My number 1 pick is the 4th hole at East Brighton Golf Club. Now, I know they're undergoing renovation and the 10th looks unbelievable, but the 4th hole just holds a little special place in my heart. And it's just the view from the tee on that par 3 is like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, as someone that hasn't played a lot of hasn't played barely any really top golf courses and architecture, but I'm aware of what it takes. I think that 4th hole just kind of hits you in the gut of just, wow, like this is stunning. And it's just the way the tee box is, it's not elevated, the tee box, it kind of sits in the land. And then the way they've done the dunes and the hills that roll and kind of give you a glimpse of the green, you see the bunkering and the flag sort of like just fluttering in the wind, and you can kind of see the green, but it's still a bit of a mystery. Like, that hole takes you on a journey, and when you hit a good shot, you're like, I think that's really good. And it kind of it's a rewarding hole. You hit good shots, you get rewards. If you hit bad shots, it's going to be tough to get up and down. Very, very tough, and you could hit a big score there. But there's just something about the way it sits and the sort of romance of the hole. I just don't know. He's honestly one of those holes you play and you think that could be on a top 100 course all day long. I think the work they're doing at East Brighton Golf Club is heading towards that kind of direction, like genuinely heading to that direction. The bunkering that they've redone across the golf course, the work they're doing on the practice greens and everything like that, it's not far off. So honestly, go and play East Brighton Golf Club. It's a really lovely place to play your golf, and there's some incredible looking golf holes there now, especially once all the renovations are done. It's going to be pretty amazing. So yeah, that's my top 3. They are probably way off what they should be, but like I said, that's my top 3 based on what I've played. So thanks for the question, Sussex Golfer. I do appreciate it. Okay, this one is from Ping It again. This one from Josh Coates. Worst guess you had. Worst guess you had. Now look, I cannot answer that question. I appreciate everybody that comes on the podcast without a shadow of a doubt. Like, to give me their time, I'm nobody. I couldn't possibly say what is the worst guest I've ever had. But what I will say is, maybe this will lead you down a path of checking for previous episodes, but it's not pointed in any one specific direction. As a podcast host, one of the things I've learned is that your favourite guests are somebody that can just take a ball and run with it. They can just take a question and tell a story without having to be prompted. And that is an art in itself. Like, you need guests that are almost artists of words, you know? Like, they're just wordsmiths in their own way. It doesn't mean they have to use special words or incredible sort of structuring of their sentences. They just have to be happy to talk and happy to talk about themselves. What is difficult, and I think this is just to do with the age that we live in, is when somebody answers a question in 30 seconds or less. And let's face it, that's kind of how everything is structured towards now. Is, look, grab people's attention within 3 seconds, answer the question within 30. And it's succinct. It's an ability that I don't have. I'm not succinct enough. My questions aren't succinct enough. But it is not great for long-form podcasting. And the reason for that is, yeah, we can get through loads of different subjects, but I'm not a question machine. I don't write down questions before I interview people. Like, this style of having these questions here is very unfamiliar to me. I did try it for a little bit, but found that it just wasn't authentic to what I was trying to create, which was conversations. And if you're essentially just conducting an interview, it's just not really the same. I'll think about the guest beforehand and come up with a couple of things that I might want to get to in the interview, you know, but genuinely it's just a story-driven, story-led conversation. That's what I try and do the best I can. But it is very difficult to do that if somebody is question answer. That's a 20-minute podcast right there. You know, what do I do? 20 minutes, you'd need 40 questions. All the best with that. You know, I struggle sometimes to formulate them in my head, let alone spit them out in time to make it an interesting conversation. So as far as the worst guests I've had, it would, like I said, cannot name anybody, wouldn't want to name anybody, appreciate their time. But ideally, it's someone who's happy to talk about themselves and to do it at length. I can guide them through maybe a conversation with that. Even if they talk too much, no worries. We can sort that out. If they talk over me, I'll shut up for a bit. That's basically how it works. So sorry, Josh, to let you down, not answer your question fully, but that is definitely it. His final question that he asked, which I do very much appreciate him sending through, is worst moment on the golf course. Worst moment on the golf course. My worst moment on the golf course, what would it be? That's a really difficult question to answer. That's the chair. I think the worst moments on the golf course that I've had is, you can split it into two things. The first one I'll cover very quickly is when I've let my emotions spill over into conversation and I've ended up arguing with a friend. And it hasn't happened many times. I've got one specifically in mind. But whether or not I felt justified in the moment to turn what is, let's face it, a hobby and something that we do for fun into something that causes an argument. And look, I come from playing football, and it happens at football all the time. But I guess this kind of bleeds into Rory's comments of golf's held to a higher standard, that it's a gentlemanly sport, and to be arguing with a friend during that just isn't really right. So that's probably my worst moment on a golf course personally. Whether I felt justified or not, it doesn't matter. It's just not really what you should be doing, is it? So from that standpoint, that was probably my worst moment. As far as worst moment golfing wise on a golf course, I think when it's really hard, because I genuinely try and laugh when it goes badly, just because I know that it's bound to happen, right? We all play this game, which is just impossible. And I try and not get too upset with the bad shots, but they happen. And I would say one of the worst moments was playing East Sussex National, playing the West course at East Sussex National. Played pretty well in the rain by myself. I played 9 holes, but I was playing all right. And I decided to film the last one on camera, but a little bit more, like as a play along. And it just started to rain that little bit heavier, and I flubbed like 4 chip shots in a row, when a total distance of like 50 yards. And chipping has genuinely been like my nemesis. And then another moment to follow it up was a 5-putt. 5-putt should not be a thing. 5-putt should not be a thing. And to be fair to the group I was playing with, it wasn't like any of them within gimme range either. It's not like they could give me the grace of just pick that ball up. Something went seriously wrong. I'm working on the putting though. We got AimPoint, but I'm also working on my putting routine and my putting technique and everything. So lots going to happen. I'm going to make Runner Golf proud. Okay, that's for sure. I have to do that. So yeah, that's probably answers that question in a roundabout way. Right, let's have another. We got a couple of ones on here on the channel. If you're not on there already, Birdie Golf Club Podcast channel is available on Instagram. You'll get all your updates behind the scenes, kind of. Don't want to bring it up too much. We'll do John first. So John MS Golf again, another budding content creator based in Scotland. John, great guy. Are you going to do a tour of Scotland? If so, what courses would you like to play? I would love to do a tour of Scotland, John. Absolutely love to. And maybe some opportunities will come up working with Golf Escapes. Who knows? That would be awesome. I would love to head to the obvious. I'd love to head to the home of golf. The ability to play that course, who knows? Like I would love to get on. I'd love to play it just once. I'd happily play by myself with a group of 3 and jump on that way, just for the experience. But yeah, I'd like to head there. I'd like to play in and around the St Andrews area. Dunbarney would obviously be great, to play there. It just looks like an unbelievable golf course, relatively new golf course, but still looks pretty unbelievable. Yeah, there's so many golf courses. I can't even name like this. Trump Turnberry. I'd love to play Trump Turnberry. The Alicia course just looks absolutely stunning. But there's so many other golf courses as well. Royal Aberdeen looks unbelievable, and it's being lost as well, isn't it, to the sea? So honestly, I would love to head there. Love to go and play some of those beautiful, beautiful golf courses. Even the ones that you don't see appear on a lot of lists, they just look unbelievable, So yes, would love to do it. Do I know when? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But maybe 2027. I doubt. From the Postman's Par Golf, that's Coops, who's on a few weeks back. Hello, mate. Let's get these questions from you. What are your top 5 guests you'd love to have on the show? That's a really hard question. I love that question. What I can do is, rather than maybe talking about specifics, I would love to interview people from different realms in the game of golf. So I would love to have a club fitter on that has dealt with me, like, just so we can talk that through. Like, that would be interesting to me to go past the fitting session and cover a little bit more of the specifics of why we did certain things. I think that would be cool, and that would be interesting, I think, to listen to. Maybe just for me. I don't know. That's a selfish one. I would love to talk to somebody who is in golf media, and you can, Iona would be awesome. I think she produces fantastic content, great voice for podcasts as well, like absolutely ideal. So yeah, would love to have someone like that on. I think should be great. And I'd love to hear more about her story, her injuries and everything like that as well. And how she sort of got through all that time and the mental health struggles that were probably involved, I'm guessing. So yeah, would love to have Iona on, or anyone, from that golf media world would be fantastic for their insight. Would actually love to have someone in the producing of golf as well. Specifically, maybe the DP World Tour producers, who do a great job on the TV, but I'd love to dive into what on earth they're playing out on YouTube, because it's a disaster. But, I don't know how to frame that nicely so they wouldn't just hang up the call. Who else? I'd love to talk to some DP World Tour players. Obviously, we've had past players like Martin Maritz on. But I would love to talk to some DP World Tour players if they'd be willing to come on. I'd love to hear their stories. Equally, really enjoyed to maybe have like Corn Ferry Tour player on, because that is a tour that is absolutely brutal. Like, there is, same as DP World Tour, there is basically no difference between that player and a PGA Tour player, but yet they fight out every week to survive, pretty much. I mean, DP World Tour, they're doing a little bit better, but Corn Ferry especially, like, they're surviving. That's like Challenge Tour status. So yeah, I'd love to talk to those guys and hear their stories, and I think that would be really impactful as well. So I will make an effort to reach out to them. Like I said, with my interest in AimPoint, very fortunate to the fact that we're going to have Jamie Donaldson, we're going to have Mark Sweeney, and we're going to have Gareth O'Shea, or Gareth McShay. It's Gareth McShay, isn't it? I'll get his name right on the night. Don't worry about that. I'm going to look it up. Got it right. Gareth McShay. So great that we're having those guys on, and to sort of understand a little bit more about the journey of getting to AimPoint, and what brought them all together, what drives them. And one of the questions I really want to ask them is, when they make a change to AimPoint, or they develop a new system to teach AimPoint, who do they have in mind when they develop that system? Because I think a lot of people look at AimPoint and view it as a tour player system, something that tour players learn, or aspiring tour players learn. But I don't know whether that's who they have in mind when they develop it. I don't know if they have in mind the amateur. So would love to talk to them about that. Who else? I would love to have like a legend of golf on. Somebody that helped shape the game through the 80s, through the 90s. And the thing is, I mean, someone like Nick Faldo, I think Nick Faldo gets really, he gets misrepresented sometimes through Golf Channel coverage, that short form stuff. And I think it would be awesome to bend his ear on what it was like in the 90s and late 80s playing golf, the journey that he went through. I mean, I'm thinking back of like playing Sega Mega Drive, my granddad's PGA Tour 98, 94, 96, and some of the guys that were on there, and we're losing some of those guys now, they are getting older. So anyone from that era would be awesome. I'd love that, to talk to them about the game. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. So yeah, when it comes to top 5 guests, I'm sorry I can't give a more succinct, like this person, but more categories of people and doing something. Joshua Coates said something very funny to me off air. He said, whenever he sort of sees my podcast around, it just seems like I've got all these guests from like crazy places. Like, it's going to be like a Tibetan shepherd at some point who loves the game, which I thought was very funny. But that is kind of the thing we're trying to do. So would absolutely love that. If there is a Tibetan shepherd out there who loves the game of golf and it's important to him, get in touch. Absolutely get in touch. You're on, without a doubt. But yeah, I think that's basically it for the listener Q&A. I haven't received any more, and if I do receive them afterwards, I'll store them for next time. If you're still here, wow, you're dedicated. I do appreciate you. I really, really do. I was looking at the stats, and I think between 10 and 20% of people that listen to this podcast pretty regularly are either following or subscribers. Would love that number to go up. So if you can, please hit that follow, hit that subscribe button. I really would appreciate it. As always, thank you so much to the people that help with the show in the sense of got me opportunities to work with them. ShotScope, Golf Escapes, Strike Wedge as well, being affiliated with them. Make sure to pick up that best training tool out there when it comes to helping with low point. Behind me, the guys at Perfect Design, designing these beautiful golf courses. There's a bucket list one, Old Head Golf Links. And above me, where me and my dad played in Portugal. So thank you ever so much to those guys. There is lots of exciting stuff around the corner. I'm tired. I'm sorry. If you're listening to this at work, please, I hope this doesn't affect your mood for the rest of the day. And it was a good enough listen. But thank you so much to everyone that listens. There is exciting things going around the corner. It will not just be me again next week. I assure you of that. And I can only apologise. But thank you so much to everyone who got involved as well and sending through their questions. I hope I answered them the best of my ability. And until next week, I hope you have a wonderful week. Hopefully golf is part of it, but if not, I hope it goes really well. And I'll see you all again next week.